the strange thing is that the effect of being just and kind and generous and protective to this small minority is to begin to undo marriage. And then when you listen to them, they give it away. You had a literary festival in Australia not long ago where a famous Canadian author, Woman Fesman, said, the truth is we don't want marriage, we don't like marriage, we only want it because we're setting out to destroy it. And she explained that she had, I forget, I think 2 or 3 kids and 5 adults of different sexual proclivities. Basically, they had a small romantic commune in which children happened between different people, some straight, some gay, some bisexual. And she said the whole point of the campaign to extend marriage to the gay community is not because we want to be married, but because we want, having got marriage, to destroy it. How do you destroy it? You destroy marriage by breaking the link between children and parents.
I mean, I agree. It's a no-brainer that we should have the right to marry, but I also think equally that it's a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. So that causes my brain some trouble. And part of it, why it causes me trouble, is because fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we're going to do with marriage when we get there. You know, because we lie that the institution of marriage is not going to change. And that is a lie. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. I have 3 kids who have 5 parents, more or less. And I don't see why they shouldn't have 5 parents legally. I don't see why we should choose 2 of those parents and make them into a sanctioned couple. And really, I would like to live in a legal system that is capable of reflecting that reality. And I don't think that's compatible with the institution of marriage.
It's astonishing that in a society that claims to be concerned about human rights, the rights of children who are brought into gay relationships by surrogates isn't spoken of at all. There's a kind of complete silence about it. So the ungluing of society through this second wagon takes place by destroying the relationship between parents and children. Now we have gay marriage, with many countries buying into it and some resisting it. And behind that, we have the whole trans community thing. Well, again, this isn't demographic. Why has this popped up as the next carriage? Okay, the first rule in this whole debate is it's not what it seems. What is it then? So first of all, it's 0.07% of the population who suffer from gender dysphoria. It's a really unpleasant thing to suffer from. One can only be sympathetic. But to take the mental discomfort of a tiny community, where you're in one body and you believe you ought to be in another, of a tiny, tiny part of the community, and begin to turn that into a kind of strategy of dealing with the world is a very odd thing to do. Frankly, it's a bit crazy. Why do we do it? Because behind the whole trans thing is this principle of getting rid of objective reality, objective standards, objective morality. What it's basically saying is the real truth about the world is whatever you think it is in your head. So what is the motivation for trying to impose on society the notion that the inside of our heads and what we want is what society ought to be? And the answer is this. It's linked to to this idea of utopianism. And the idea of this utopianism is we can build the ideal society along the lines we want, just by wanting it. But to get there, you have to persuade people that they can make the world like their vision inside their head. It's a prerequisite. And the whole trans community is being used in order to get the rest of the world to accept this. So we look at the trans community and say, oh, you want to be a girl, even though you have XY chromosomes and a penis, and the wrong kind of hormones are going to kick in, you be a girl. I'll tell you what, we'll really mess you up. We'll bombard you with hormones that don't belong to your condition, and we'll chop bits off you. And then this picture inside your head will be a bit more like the picture outside. This is a very drastic thing. You have to be really confident you know what you're doing to do that to people. It begins with the state saying, you need to think like this. And then some people will say, well, we don't think we do think like this. Maybe we don't believe in this way of politics or this way of economics, or maybe we're artists and we're free thinkers. Maybe we just don't like being told what to think. And the totalitarian Marxist state says, if you show any sign of not believing it and not doing what we tell you, then we'll declare you mentally ill. The way they punished Christians in the Soviet Union was to send them into psychiatric clinics because, according to the state, they were ill. Because anyone who doesn't believe Marxist theory is unwell. Now we say homophobic, but it's the same thing. You're being declared psychologically ill and bad at the same time. We're there already. Why am I energized to this? Why am I speaking in public? Why am I risk being called a homophobe? What a stupid insult. Because it's going to end in blood. Because freedom of speech and freedom of thought and objective reality and finding out what's real in the world is under threat. And down this conveyor belt are some very nasty people who are going to force us to believe what they want us to believe, and who will either throw us into prison or kill us when we don't, just like they did in China and in South America and in Russia. And it's crazy that the Western world, with its gift of freedom, is just walking blindly into it because they want to be nice to groups who appear to have been disadvantaged. Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't. Evil flourishes when good people do nothing. We've done nothing too long. So can we slow it down? We can, by speaking out against it, by protesting against it, by refusing to accept the narrative that's imposed upon us. We have to be quite canny to do that. This requires quite a clever sidestep to get away from the fairly brutal and unsophisticated accusations that are brought against us, but we ought to be able to do it.